Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1527B, and today's date is March 21st, 2018, and the title of the episode is Future Proves Past, Everything is About to Change. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. I uploaded a new interview with David Morgan, and it's on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel. So all you need to do is go over to YouTube, type in X22 Report Spotlight. It'll bring you to the interview, or you can come over to x22report.com or newsentinel.com. Scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side. You can play the video right on the site, or you can go to steemit.com. That's steemit.com/@X22Report, and you can play the interview right on Steemit. Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Now, it looks like Facebook is on the hot seat here, and we see that things are not going well for Zuckerberg, and Q did mention that certain companies will not be able to survive this. And we see WikiLeaks co-founder Julian Assange. He may soon give evidence to a parliamentary committee about Cambridge Analytica. And remember, this was the company that had an app that went in and looked at the data of Facebook, and basically what happened was the deep state brought it up that Trump's campaign was using it, saying that look what they did here, they're using this data, oh my god, it's from 50 million Facebook users, this is unbelievable. But again, Obama used this also, and this, as we can see, has started something much, much larger here. Now, Julian Assange has accepted a request by the Select Committee of the UK Parliament to give evidence via a video link about Cambridge Analytica and other matters later this month. WikiLeaks rushed to clarify the matter, stating that the Australian was approached on a number of occasions to offer his expert opinion to British MPs. During the last attempt on Monday, the investigative committee allegedly proposed holding the session with Assange on March 28th via a video link, to which Mr. Assange agreed. In addition to Assange, the committee headed by MP Damian Collins has requested Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg to testify in person on the Cambridge Analytica data scandal. Now, before Zuckerberg appears before the British MPs, Facebook announced that it is working round the clock to gather and analyze all the facts. And we can see right now, Facebook is saying we have been deceived and we don't know how this happened. And basically, this isn't exactly true. They knew what they had done 2 years ago and only acted against them when it was reported in the press. Remember, other campaigns did the same thing with Facebook's data. Now, this is very interesting because they and others, social media giants, search engines, have been collecting information on people, your private information, and selling it and having other companies use it. And we can see right now that they've got caught. They're caught in the act, and they're trying to blame it on another company. But what we're seeing here is that things really don't add up. Alistair McTaggart said, right now, Facebook's money is saying something different than what they are telling the world. Now, what they're talking about here is that Facebook, Google, and others, well, they're pumping in millions of dollars into halting new laws in California which would expand online privacy protections. And Google and the rest, Facebook, don't want this to happen. Basically, the act would require companies to disclose what personal information from California's tech companies could collect, buy, or share. It would allow consumers to opt out from those practices and would prevent businesses from charging a higher price to those who make that choice. And they don't want this to happen. They need the data. They want the data. Remember, a lot of these social media giants, search engines, are tied in with the intelligence agencies. McTaggart also wrote, well, something else doesn't add up here. If you have claimed that Cambridge Analytica data breach was not a breach and that you do not sell users' personal information, but either it was a breach or a sale. If not a breach, we are forced to conclude that Facebook sold Cambridge Analytica access to over 50 million users' personal information, most of whom never consented to having their personal information shared. Facebook is caught in the middle of all of this because it's either Cambridge, which they're going to have to show that they accessed their data illegally, or Facebook gave them permission and charged a fee. They're stuck here. Q was talking about this on how these big tech companies use your personal data. I mean, think about it. Future proves past. Whoever Q is, we know it's made up of probably the president and other patriots within the Oval Office. But what we're seeing here is they already told you that this was going to happen, and it just happened. And they also told you that these individuals are going to sell off their shares. Watch the money. Watch what they do. Now, right now, Zuckerberg has sold about 1.14 million shares as part of a regularly scheduled program. That was the most insider selling for any public company going back as far as 3 months. In the last 2 weeks, Zuckerberg sold 228,000 shares a day on March 8th, on March 9th, March 12th, the 13th, and the 14th. That's a total of 1.14 million shares sold at an average price of $183 per share for a payout of nearly $210 million. Because Facebook, they could face fines right now that could reach $2 trillion because people are going to sue. And we can see right now that this would mean like up to $40,000 per fine per privacy violation. 50 million users, what is it, like $2 trillion? That doesn't mean everyone's going to sue, but I mean, this is something that's going to be out there. It might be a class action type of suit, and it might bring this company down. Why do you think he's getting out? Now, Q already said this was going to happen. They already said, watch Google, watch YouTube, watch Facebook, watch Twitter, watch what these individuals do. Watch their money, how they react, because all this sharing of data, all this information flowing from all over the place, it's going to stop. People have the right to privacy. This is why Q is saying we should be pushing the Internet Bill of Rights. And Q is absolutely right on that. We see right now that North Korea and South Korea, the United States, well, they're in Finland. Actually, they were in Finland. They had constructive talks. And we can see right now, these were unofficial diplomatic talks in the Nordic country that were widely believed to be laying the groundwork for an upcoming meeting between the Koreas and the U.S.-North Korea summit. And the Finnish Foreign Ministry said, in a brief statement, said that the talks were held in a positive atmosphere and were aimed at building confidence and reducing tensions on the Korean peninsula. The peace talks have already started. They're laying the groundwork. Pretty soon you're going to hear that there's peace within that region. And again, they're saying that there's going to be some type of drill on April 1st, which is April Fool's Day. And we'll have to see if this is an April Fool's joke or the president is showing that, look, you can have the drills. We can do it. North Korea won't do anything. They won't have a missile test. They won't have a nuclear test. But we'll see how this all plays out. We see right now Iraq is looking to work with Turkey on securing the border. The Iraqi government says they are ready to work with Turkey. This is very interesting because a year ago, Iraq was saying they want Turkey out of the area. This is unbelievable. We don't agree with Turkey. Now they want to work with Turkey in securing the borders. What's happening here is each one of these countries, they are now governing themselves. A lot of the deep state is out of this region. They're no longer in control. This is why the Iraqi forces were able to defeat the Islamic State in their country, because the deep state used to point them in wrong directions, give them misinformation, and this is why they never could get anywhere. Now these countries are saying, you know something, we can govern ourselves, and we can have communication with other countries, we can secure our borders, and we're going to see this happen. We also see that the Syrian armed forces, well, they have liberated certain towns from the militants, from the rebels, from the paid mercenaries, and they found chemical weapon production facilities and 40 tons of poisonous substance, chemical weapons, in these areas. This should tell you something, that these rebels, these paid mercenaries, controlled by the deep state, had the facilities, had the chemical weapons. And I'm sure if you do a little investigation, you will find out it was the paid mercenaries that used the chemical attacks, which we kind of already know. We see right now there's a lot of Washington insider government officials that are flocking to doomsday camps around the country, which of course begs the question, what do they know that we do not? They are building a network of backwoods doomsday camps around the country and are pulling in members from affluent areas. And there's high-powered government officials. There are many others now moving to these areas. Now, number one is the deep state planning something huge, like a cyber attack on the power infrastructure, a cyber attack on the financial system, because this is one reason they would go into hiding, into bunkers, to make sure they have power outside of the system and to be off-grid. And we can see that this, I wouldn't put it past the deep state to take it this far. Now, will they be able to do it? We don't know, because we can see right now the control, I do believe, is in the corner of Trump and the Patriots. And I think the deep state is continually losing control quite quickly. But it doesn't mean they've given up. It means that it's getting more and more difficult as time goes on. Now, what's very interesting is that Q came out and Q said the FBI has opened a case on Q. So they're coordinating to end the communication of Q. And Q said this is predictable. They are scared. They're trying to stop all information coming out. They said they will fail in doing this. They already know the details of what they're trying to do. And this is very interesting, that they're trying to do this. And it's very interesting because Q keeps mentioning boom, 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 mentioning Texas. We also mentioned some type of an event happening on March 18th or somewhere around that area in Texas. And we did have a bombing in this area. And the bombs were out of the FedEx area. And it's very interesting because if we go back a month or two to an event that occurred, we understand that like Dick's Sporting Goods and other corporations decided to end their relationship with the NRA. And there was a push to get FedEx, Amazon, and others to end their relationship with the NRA. And I don't know if this had anything to do with that, but it's very interesting that this is where they decided to send the bombs out. Right now, there's no motive. Was this individual controlled, just like the individual was controlled outside of the White House who committed suicide? And Q did mention that, where Q said, we can control the innocents, and they can make the innocents do whatever they want. So this might be a link into that. Now, Q also said other things in his post that he put out. He said MZ, which is most likely Mark Zuckerberg, RT, which is Rex Tillerson. They had a meeting together. Cell phones were left at the door, so nobody could record, take pictures, or anything else in their private meeting. Q also said +5 political individuals within this meeting. One former Intel director, trying to mask or spin what is happening. And what's very interesting is they're trying to shift the narrative, and Q says this is going to completely fail. Because Q says, we hear you, we have the algorithm, thank you, Snowden. So Snowden right now, like we've said in the past, is working with Q, with the Patriots, supplying them with information. Now Snowden, there's some talk that he might have those sex tapes of Hillary Clinton, and he's holding on to them, and this is why they've been trying to get him so badly. And Q went on to say, learn chess, down she goes, which is very interesting. Nobody escapes this. Nobody. They are all panicking. So we can see at this point that the deep state, they are regrouping. They're a little bit worried. They're trying to shift the narrative. They're panicking. They're backed into a corner. And at the same time this is all happening, and they're racing against time right now, because Trump is pushing with Patriots to bring down the economy, to get rid of the central banking system. This is the system that funds their operations. They're going to cut them off at the source. Just like the Islamic State was shut down after Russia took out the oil convoys. They couldn't sell the oil. They weren't making any money. If you're not making any money, guess what? It's very hard to recruit more individuals to get the assets they need, and things start to fall apart rapidly. The same thing here. And they realize that the good guys, the Patriots, they are taking control. They see everything now. They hear everything. They're using the same exact tactics the deep state did when they were in power. They're no longer in power. And this is a problem for them. And once again, we need to keep in mind that they've been flocking to these doomsday bunkers. They might try the event of all events. Hopefully this could be stopped before it happens, but they are getting prepared for this. They understand what they will do in the end to try to shift and change the narrative completely and try to regain their power. So we can see this is a battle. It's being waged right in front of our eyes. And we're going to see this accelerate as we move throughout this year, because things are just going to reach a point where both sides are going to clash like really hard right in front of us. And if the deep state is feeling that they're losing, which they are right now, they're going to resort to their doomsday event because they have nothing else. They have nothing else to do except to pull the trigger. And everything's been set up. Maybe it's been dismantled. Maybe they'll pull the trigger and they think the malware is going to, move into the systems, into the financial system, into the power infrastructure, and maybe that whole thing will flop. I'm sure they have a backup plan where they'll have physical events instead of cyber attacks, instead of that type of scenario where they'll have to take it to the next level. And this is their backup plan, because we can see right now at each turn, their false flags, they're not working too well. They're not going as planned. A lot of clues, a lot of information is out there, and people are picking up on it now. So we're going to watch this. We can see there's more information coming out of Q. We can see that things are really starting to ramp up, and we know the deep state, they're not down and out as of yet, and they might try the big one. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.